When we talk about inequality, and we should look in deep, it's not my invention. Actually, it's done by colleagues from the OECD, and they ask for what is the roots of inequality, or it's my question mark, because maybe it's not a roots, maybe it's opportunities. And how it's mentioned by our colleagues, the globalization is one of the possible roots, because the people are already has more opportunities, and how more. The Vice Premier said that okay, the 200,000 are leaving, but before 1991, it's not possible. And nowadays, the globalization and offshoring took place everywhere. You can't stop the people to searching for the new life, for the different life. It's the same as the entrepreneurs. They are looking forward to have the other opportunities. That's the reason why they will say that the globalization provides opportunities to get more income for them who could use the opportunity of globalization. Second one is the trends in the labor market policies. It's a very important, maybe overestimate so far why it happens. I was in Cyprus last 2 weeks ago, and as my Swedish colleagues said, unfortunately, the patterns of collective bargaining is not covered or diminish the inequality, because the nurse who is working in the hospital never will reach the level of the guy who is working in the export industry. That means that nowadays also, that if you are in the bargaining power in the trade union with the big bargaining power, your possibility to get better pay is better than in other place. The third one is technological changes. Of course, it's a mention because one is the major roots of inequalities, because those who could use the new technologies, who have education, who could get a better job, would get a better income. About the market liberalization is, of course, many question marks, and it's not the case in Latvia, because we have quite a liberal market in excluding the electricity and all, but it's not the case. Composition of households. Now the effect of big households, well, you could consume or save more because you could make a savings on that. It's gone because the households become smaller and smaller. One of the most important points, the lack of education. It's mentioned everywhere that inequality starts and finishes with education. Because people who has no education, they could have a job. If they have a job, there's a low-paid job, and all the time it's a vicious circle. And the last one, it's about the Ministry of Welfare. And unfortunately, there's a tax and transfer system they could cope only partly with all the issues, because the education issue become more and more prevalent. According to why we talk about that, it's very important because it's a lot of subjective things in the well-being and in the inequality. Because the question is, what is our model, what we are going to develop? And that's the reason why it's very easy to talk about inequality in general, but then we start to look on what's the resources is coming. And first of all, of course, 75% of all the resources from the households coming from the job. It's a still reality that 75% is the labor income. We could force, or we could develop the self-employment and so, but still 75% is coming from the labor income. It means if your industries is not productive and you can't produce the average or the more than average wage, it means that you have a less income. The second one you see is the household labor income with the family policies, and in Latvia I could say that since we have a 70% of women's employment, that means not just because it's very important for the Ministry of Welfare, because it's a gender equality. At the same time, we increase our income through the family policies, because women are working, and I'm happy about that. Next year we are going to have more resources for the kindergartens. And then you will see the next one, the household market income, household disposable income, and household adjusted disposable income. And we forgot about the household adjusted disposable income, because since we have a education system, healthcare system, long-term care systems paid by the, or the partly paid by the state, it means they are redistributed some part of the income. And I believe that when we look on the inequality, we should look at all the concept, not just one part on the other one. It's very important to look all in common. It's about the Latvia, like what we like to reach. Yeah, we see that it's not widely used, but it's used in our National Development Plan in 1910, and already, of course, we like to see more. That will be less than we have already, but still, we see that it's not a biggest problem. The difference between the richest and the poorest. It's a problem that we have no middle class. The difference between the middle class, it's a problem, and we will see the next one. And it's not, I could say, of course, we could say that all the systems is examined during the crisis. But we have 3 years of emergency situation. This means that a lot of things was done, not because somebody is willing to do that, but it was the emergency call for it. And then we start to work on the emergency, social safety net. We make changes in tax system. Unfortunately, we raise the taxes. Then we make effective short-term measures. But of course, we are not answering the question what Mrs. Springer said, that in these times, during these 3 years, nobody thinking about need for permanent sustainable policy measures to empower, to gain and retain sufficient income for decent life and development. Because we are not, I don't believe that we are already talking about the universal transfer system. We are talking about the job, about the decent working places with the decent incomes. I suppose that at least we do. And there's we see the transfers, what is made during the crisis and even before the crisis. And you see that 1/3 of the state budget goes to the transfers. And this, if you look on that, you see that's a typical Nordic model, in social insurance-based system. And this social benefits takes quite a very small part of that. But still it's the 1/3 of our expenditures. But we already, and it's not just during the crisis, it's also other crises. But here we see the expenditure for municipal budgets for. And you see during the crisis, and I should mention that since 2010 we co-financed from state budget the social benefits paid by the municipalities. It's still just 3.5%. The question is about the European Charter for the municipalities. Who should bring all the responsibility? Who is closer to the society? But the reality is like that the municipalities spend 50 million in comparison with the social insurance system, 1.5 billion. And here we see the effects of social security net. And you know that the people are not counting that, for example, the pension system is biggest transfer that you have. And from starting, if you don't have a social insurance system for pensions, that you have a zero income for the pensioners. And it's the biggest net that we have. That's, it should be counted in, because it's a zero or something. And when we see that during the so-called good years, the pensioners was one of the poorest part, with the biggest risk category. When we come to the crisis time, you see that the pensioners become one of the well-being. And at the same time, the social security net decreased the poverty risk for 10%. It's reality, it's not the figures what is done already. The question is what done after the crisis. And it's about what is the biceps say. The first point is tackling shadow economy. It's one of the, everything what we are talking is a shame to Latvia. It's a major shame of Latvia. It's this so-called envelope salaries or shadow economy. We are one of the members of the EU, and we have 38% of shadow. It's a shame for state institutions who has no employed in the great extent the stick and carrot. But still, this is a shame because it's not normal, because it's not for the economy who takes the 43rd place in the rate. The second one, investment in infrastructure and development of education system. I can't say for sure that it will diminish the income inequality, but still it's improved the situation. I will skip that. You say there's a composition. You say we are very happy this time. We see the socially insured person, the number of socially insured persons come back. After the crisis, you see during the crisis they come down. Nowadays we are close to 900,000. It's quite a good figure. And they talk about the unemployment rate. It's already 107. But still we see we have improvements. And yeah, but here's the most interesting. Maybe we could later have discussion with the economists how we could gain this picture, because you see the average social insurance wage, and what you see, we still have a level of 2007. That means that people who are getting the salaries between the 200 and 500, that means that our system is some patriots of the system who are still there. And because of these people, we can't pay all the pensions all the time. Because you see that number of the receivers of minimum wage in the first year of the crisis almost doubled. That means that people are going to the shadow economy. But unfortunately, the reality is that pensions should be paid all the time, and thanks to these patriots who still pay in taxes, that we could sustain. And it's our inequality, what is done by the people, actually. You see, I believe, and we strongly believe, that in this lower part, 20% of them, they are coming from the public sector. That's the reason why we strongly believe that wages in the public sector should be increased. But remaining 14%, we don't believe really that it's, because according to the shadow economy, it's somewhere. And then you see the biggest part who is almost the same, it's the people are, they expecting to have a benefits, they expecting to have a pension from the social insurance system. And what they are paying already. But we are strongly believe that public sector is up to public sector. But for the remaining 40%, we should decrease this figure as soon as possible. And it's about the taxes. Yeah, I believe it's a very, very important slide. You see, if you have 2 kids, you have a minimum salary, you have 2 kids, you are not paying taxes at all. Only the social insurance contributions. If you have 3 kids, you also have no taxes. If you have 300, you also. According to the Latvian system, if you have 3 times more income, you're paying 3 times more taxes. The question is, should you pay 9 times more taxes? It's a question. Nowadays, it's a proportional. You're paying more. And if you have a salary 200, 300 lakhs, you are not paying taxes. The question is, where's the inequality in this case? Because of course, its inequality is coming when I receive the 600 lakhs. Then I should pay 34 lakhs, for example. But at the same time, we have, looking at these figures, we use time thinking about what to do with the tax system, because nowadays, it's still, it should be intention to receive more, but it's not here. And it's about our general problem, what is our major problem, and why we are starting and finishing with education. I believe that this is our problem. And the problem is with the kids who are already in the families who can't afford to have education. That means that a lot of the help should come through the schools or involvement in the schools. Because this, I strongly believe in the EU targets, not just because they are targets. I believe that they are, if we achieve these targets in good quality, not in the bad quality, but in good quality, that will be great. Because all these early school leavers that you see here, they are potentially unemployed persons, or the low-skilled persons who never get decent employment. I believe I will finish on this point, and it's actually nowadays we announced these 4 activities. We believe that according to what we have, we will think more about, because the Ministry of Welfare has a lot of focuses. This is one of them. The gender equality and the other one, gender gap also. That still we are looking on this tax allowances for the low-wage earners. The question is from which amount we are going to start, because some parts already don't pay taxes at all. This next one is very important, family supporting and motivating social benefit systems. It means that people in the families or the kids in the family should see how parents work. And it means the same well-targeted active labor market measures and of course, education, education, and education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, I have one question.